Have you ever stopped to realize how many promises are actually in the ninth step promises? Are these promises something that can be experienced, or are they simply a pie-in-the-sky goal to shoot for and nothing more? And why do so many people in 12-step meetings never see these promises come true? Well, answers to these questions and more on this episode of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show, starting now.
Hello, I'm Mr. Ed.
A horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course. That is, of course, unless the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
3, 2, 1, 0.
Hey, you! Yeah, you! Come here for a minute. I want to talk to you. Mama says your brain dead,
Bang your head against the wall.
Can't find peace of mind.
Brain needs an overhaul.
Bonehead, brain dead, we're all the same. You can't think straight when your heart is in pain. Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
The views expressed on this broadcast of the Take 12 Recovery Radio Show are those of the co-host and guest and do not necessarily reflect those of our affiliates. The topics and opinions on today's show should not be considered as medical, psychological, or professional advice. Take 12 Radio is not affiliated with any particular 12-step fellowship. And now, here's your host,
The man, the myth, the legend.
Legend.
I'm telling you the truth, man, I ain't gonna lie to you.
No, I would not.
Good guys, bad boys, we're all the same.
Saved by grace is the name of the game.
Turn around, hit the ground, time to lay a burden down.
Well, okay, so Tony's here.
Good morning.
Marv's here.
Yes, sir.
Denver's here.
I'm chasing my mic down. Howdy.
Howdy, and I, the Monty Man, am here, I think. Hello, my name is Mr. Ed. Did you ever see that show, Tony?
No, but I know what it is. I
You know
don't
what
have
it
to
is?
Google that one.
That was the main actor in that was a guy named Alan Young, and he played Wilbur. Remember Mr. Ed?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Marv does. Yeah, trippy. So
Did you ever name one of your horses, Mr. Ed?
No.
No? Okay.
What are you doing with your mic?
He keeps leaving.
Well,
Denver's got a floating mic. It just kind of floats away from him.
Maybe you take some of James's pills before the show.
I don't know.
Your
It's
mic
okay.
is like a happy
Weird.
mic.
I'll just pull it to me when it's time to talk.
Eat your mic.
So, do you have any idea how they made Mr. Ed's mouth move, Marv?
I do not. No.
Well, they actually took. Do you?
I was going to say peanut butter.
I thought he was really talking.
That was at that time in life.
That time in life where we all believed it, right?
That's real.
Well, they actually put, I thought it was peanut butter too, but actually they put a piece of nylon thread between his gums and his teeth, and it would, he'd try to get it out, and his lips would move. But eventually, they actually trained him that whenever the trainer would tap his hoof, he would actually move his lips.
Oh,
and
really?
It got to be, where they do like Pavlov's dog, where they conditioned response. So when Alan Young, that played Wilbur, would stop talking, the horse would automatically start moving its lips. So he would talk to the horse, and when he stopped, Mr. Ed would start blah 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 or whatever he was doing, and then they put the voiceover in there. So he actually was able to do it without any thread in his mouth. So still something interesting there for you.
For being a multi-million-dollar show, that probably was back then in that day. Who thought of that?
A talking horse?
Uh-huh.
I think there was
One happy person, probably.
There was a movie about a donkey.
Oh God!
That talked, and the guy was in the military.
That's scriptural.
Yeah, I was going to say, isn't that in the Bible somewhere?
Oh yeah, Balaam's donkey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was a donkey in the Bible.
Yeah, there is.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
God spoke through a donkey. Yeah.
Well, God can speak to a donkey.
Well, he spoke through the donkey.
Oh,
so,
he
so,
spoke.
and so people say, well, if
should
God
not
can
have
speak
the
through an
Bible.
ass, he can speak through anybody, right? I mean, that's anyway, that's the joke. But no, there was a Francis. It was called Francis. It was about a guy in the Navy, I think it was, or Army, and he had a donkey that would talk. Francis the talking donkey. Somebody out there's got to remember that. Anyway,
They were on a lot of
Give us a
drugs back
shout.
in the day.
Give us a shout out on that one if you remember.
yeah.
I don't.
And what era was that in?
What
Like
era?
this,
Yeah, I
40s,
don't know.
50s?
It was a long time ago. Okay, so the topic this week is Step 8 and 9 revealed. Basically, the promises of Step 9, are they fact or are they fiction? So we're going to be talking about that. And but before we do that, we've got some other goodies to look at. So I got an interesting email.
Uh-oh.
So there, I don't know. I don't know if this is surprising or not. I'm glad, but there's a lot of people that continue to smoke marijuana that listen to the show.
Uh-huh.
They maybe they've gotten into AA to stop drinking, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they don't consider marijuana an issue. And I've gotten emails before. Well, I smoke pot for recreational purposes or for medical purposes or whatever. But I love listening to the show, and they apply it to other areas of their life. So I'm glad they're listening. I'm not real pro pot, but I'm glad they're listening. Well, this person, Betty, wrote me. She said, "Dear Take 12 Radio, I'm constantly arguing with my boyfriend about how much pot he is allowed to have in the state of Oregon. He does not have a medical marijuana card because he says he can't afford the $200 application fee." Now I had to laugh at that because I wonder
That's just the application fee, though. There's other fees after that.
But I mean, he can afford the pot.
Do we all remember Walter?
Yes, really.
Yes.
He can't afford the $200 application fee, but he says, but he doesn't need to do that because it's legal. He says he can smoke it in public without getting fined because it's legal. Can you help clear this up? Well, yes, I can. So I did.
Betty, I feel your pain.
So
Trust me. You
Betty,
have no idea.
So here's just so you know out there, for you guys who insist on smoking pot, you better have your I's dotted and your T's crossed and know what you're doing. How can you know what you're doing if you're stoned all the time? Not sure, but we can try it out. Okay, if you are of legal age, and that is 21, not 18, 21, you may, this is the state of Oregon now, you may possess 1 ounce of usable cannabis. That means the dried flower. Okay. You may possess 1 ounce of cannabis concentrates or extracts. You may possess 16 ounces of cannabis edibles in solid form. So like gummy bear things or whatever they eat. You can possess 72 ounces of cannabis products in liquid form. You can possess 10 cannabis seeds, so 10 seeds, or 4 immature cannabis plants.
Yep.
If you are of legal age and are in a, now that's in a public setting, okay? If you're in a private residence or property,
Oh, yeah, it gets better.
you may possess 8 ounces of usable cannabis, but all the other laws apply. So it goes up from
1 to 8.
1 to 8. Okay, now here's the kicker. Smoking marijuana in public in Oregon for both recreational or medical use is illegal. It is illegal. You cannot smoke it in public, even if you're smoking with an often discreet vaping pen. As a result, you can only consume at home or on private property. This means no bars, community parks, public outdoor smoking areas, on buses or airplanes or federal land. I think I'm going to go over to the federal property and smoke some pot. Because, by the way, it's still federally illegal.
Illegal, yeah.
Getting busted smoking weed in public will result in fines and even jail time. So no, Betty's boyfriend, you cannot smoke pot in public even with a medical marijuana card.
Well, and what they left out there is you can have 2 sets of plants, so many each in different stages on top of that.
I don't know. That's not what it says.
Yeah.
I believe that.
It's
actually
sad,
is
I know
true.
that.
Yeah. No, it's not sad. It's
Living
It's
with,
true.
you know, the ex for 10 plus years, you drink.
Cannabis concentrates must be purchased from a licensed retail location. Possession of homemade concentrates is still illegal. So if you're saving up the oils from your smoking device and you're saving that up, you can't do that. So there you go. I hope that answers your question, Betty. Now you can continue to argue because most pot right fighters are going to argue with you anyway.
You know, and I feel sorry for her because I know the round and round and round that goes. I did it for 10 plus years. It's
a
exhausting.
losing argument,
It
right?
is.
It really is.
You'll never win.
Okay, now.
Stop right there. It's time for Monty Man's Weekly Wine.
A baby every week.
I'm gonna find a baby for you to hold during that part.
Oh, that'd be good.
Okay, so I gotta look up this picture that I took.
Of a baby?
That'll come in.
No. Of a baby.
I'm in a giggly mood today. Sorry, guys.
Okay, so big box stores, primarily Costco,
Oh.
because they're the mother load of big box stores, right? So, have you guys all been to Costco? Marv, have you been to Costco?
Years ago.
Years ago, did you buy anything?
Yeah, we used to buy groceries. In there.
Okay, so and you've been to Costco. You guys have been to Costco, right? So when you're getting ready to leave the store, what do?
Check your receipt.
They check your receipt, right? A person stands there with a highlighter pen, pretends like they're looking at your basket,
Exactly.
They were done.
right?
Especially with 3 carts full. I
Yeah.
doubt it.
Yeah, he's not going to the bottom of that cart. Trust me.
And they put the mark, whatever the color of the day of highlighter pen on your receipt, and then they let you go out the door, right? Okay, well, this is hilarious. So right next to the door at Costco, there's this huge sign, and I'll show it to you guys, and then I'll read it to you. So it's a pretty big sign, right? And it says, question, why is my receipt viewed when I leave the warehouse? And here's the answer. Try not to laugh too hard.
I'm glad I told my God.
To ensure that you receive everything you paid for and are not overcharged or undercharged for any item.
I'm sure that's the last thing on their list.
Now, I want to know, does that guy holding that highlighter pen know the price of every single item, and he's checking to make sure I wasn't overcharged or undercharged?
Swiftly, too, I might add.
Swiftly, yes. Also, it also says, marking the receipt disallows its reuse.
Of what, the receipt?
Yeah. So once it's marked, it can't be reused. Wait a minute. If
do you
I'm
give
bringing
it
a
back?
product back, well, you can't bring that product back. The receipt's marked. Well, then how do I prove that I bought it here? It makes absolutely no sense whatsoever.
And that's the first thing they ask you for is the receipt.
right. But the sign says you can't use it.
You can't put it back in the register.
But I just found it hilarious that that's the answer they gave. You know, now I'm sure it's an insurance thing. I'm sure they are covered. They have some protection if they have somebody monitoring the receipts. I don't believe for a minute that they care about whether you were overcharged. They may care that you were undercharged, you know. But have you ever had anybody actually match the receipt up with every item in your basket, Tony? I've never had that done.
Never ever. Unless it's a big ticket item and they want to make sure.
Yeah, like if you're carrying out a 60-inch TV,
Or even like a small thing that's like a lot of money, they want to make sure that you paid for that.
Right. So, but I don't know. So there's this huge line. I mean, it's because it's always right by the hot dog place.
Here's where the wine comes in.
Yeah. Here's the huge line, right? And there's this guy up there, and he's as slow as molasses. Oh, yeah. He's looking at the basket, but he's not really looking. He's just kind of, and he looks at the receipt, and like the sloth that he is, he moves his hand slowly up to his glasses, adjusts his glasses, and takes his right hand and as slow as I'm talking, starts to mark the receipt.
Oh my God, guys!
And
if you can
then
see this,
he drops it. And he stands there and he looks down at the ground and he says, "Oops."
Look at it this way. At least
probably just staring at it too, huh? Like, what do I do now?
you had time, though, to read the sign. All right?
That's true.
So
That's true.
Yeah.
So I looked at Marcia and go, "Look at that sign." And I just started cracking up. And I said, "That man is very concerned whether I'm overcharged or not." But the line, and everybody was stunned. They were standing there looking at each other for that instant.
time stood
Liberals,
still.
conservatives, gay, straight,
We all bonded
LGBT,
together.
Christian, Jew, atheist, everybody was on the same page for that instant, looking at each other,
Hallelujah.
cracking up. Everybody was laughing. They were like,
Oh my God! I would have been like, oh,
so that's what we need in this country is more sloths.
Remember, though, you guys, remember this. Remember this. You guys pay $50 a year
60 now. 60 now.
to put up with that.
To put up with that.
that is true. Or 120 if you want the good one that brings you money back.
Anybody got a wine this week? Denver?
Oh, I've got one, but I ain't doing it this week.
Oh, you keep putting it off.
I know.
Why do you do that?
Well,
That's my wine.
I want to make sure I get it right.
I'm whining. You haven't told about your wine.
I love the people in blue, but I do have a little wine that I'm going to present here shortly.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's legit.
Do you need to pay the ticket first?
No. That's why I'm not doing it.
Anything to whine about, Marv?
No.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. All right, so let's move on here.
And now it's time for the Monty Man's Weekly Win. Oh, my.
I thought that was the win.
La la la. Okay, so this is what I am very grateful for. I am very grateful and thankful that God protected my son Cameron. He was in an automobile accident here last week. He drives a 2008, I think it is, Buick Century. So it's a boat. It's a big car, and a lot of money's been put into it to bring it up to snuff, and it just runs like a champ and everything else. And he fell asleep at the wheel on the way to work, and he hit a culvert and jumped the ditch and broke the drive shaft, broke the axle. I mean, he totaled the car. And I'm just grateful. I mean, the win is that he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He's sore, but he didn't get hurt. He got a few minor chemical burns from the airbag going off. But other than that, he's fine. And I got to tell you, although it's a real hardship for them because they have no money and he commutes to work and he could lose his job because he can't get to work from Salem to McMinnville. All that stuff is secondary when you think of we could be planning a funeral instead of lunch together. You know what I mean? And I'm just psyched that God protected him. And I'm so glad he was driving that car.
A big one.
Yes, a big car.
Yeah.
That thing saved his life.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, how can you just can't complain when you get that phone call that says, "I just want to tell you before I say anything else, I'm okay."
Yeah.
I'm okay. And it's like, oh.
Well, good.
Yeah, good deal. Anything you guys thankful for that you're winning this week? Winning.
Yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
But
gonna save the wine.
Oh, I was about to say you're going to save that one too.
No. I'm gonna save the wine. I woke up this morning thinking ice cream, right?
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know why, but when I thought of that, I worked at the thrift store one day, and this older gal came by in the morning early, and she dropped off a bag of goodies for us. And I said, "Well, have a wonderful day." And she goes, "I am. I'm going to go out and have ice cream for breakfast, and I'm old enough to do that now." And
Right?
I thought, oh, that is so cool. So this morning, thinking of ice cream, I swung by and got some Skinny Cows because I'm old enough to do that now.
That's right.
I can have ice cream instead of vodka for breakfast.
And it was good, too. by
Well,
the way.
good.
Yeah.
Skinny Cows are great.
Skinny Cows are great.
Yeah.
It's like a frozen yogurt bar, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They're for
mine's
those-
freezing again.
Yeah.
Very
They're-
tasty.
They are good.
They're for those of us that have diabetes. We can treat ourselves to a little bit of
A
something.
little skinny.
Cow, a little skinny cow, a little bitty skinny cow.
Could you imagine if those were actually cows
No,
Skinny Cows? Yeah, they were.
on
They're
popsicle sticks?
they're cow byproducts.
Oh, that's a little weird.
That was our early
So
morning
are hot dogs.
topic.
Right?
Yeah, really. All right. Good deal. Okay, so we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with some Take 12 trivia and then the topic, the 9-cent promises, fact or fiction. Don't go away.
Don't go away. Take 12 Recovery Radio. We'll be right back.
Hey there, did you know that right now the state of Oregon ranks near the bottom in terms of adult and adolescent access to treatment and recovery services? Well, as an Oregonian, I find that simply unacceptable. But this can change, and you can be a part of that change by joining Oregon Recovers, a statewide network of individuals and organizations working together to transform Oregon's capacity to provide world-class treatment and support for Oregonians suffering from addiction to drugs and alcohol. Won't you visit our website today at www.oregonrecovers.org. That's OregonRecovers.org. Dun, 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 dun. All right, Cecil. Cecil.
And now, it's the quiz of the week.
That's right, everybody. It's time for Take 12 Trivia, sponsored by that award-winning recovery magazine, the 12-Step Gazette. Visit their website at 12stepgazette.com. Now here's the Monty Man.
Okay, in the spirit of the topic, which has to do with the 8th and 9th step, which has to do with the amends process, and please don't get confused, an apology is different than an amends, but here's some trivia about apologies. According to livescience.com, who spends more time apologizing to others, men or women? Denver, what do you think?
Oh, that's easy. Men.
Men spend more time apologizing to others?
We like to keep girls happy.
Okay, remember, if you get it wrong, right?
That's a girl's
And,
voice.
and if you get it right,
That's a girl's voice.
if you get it right,
Oh, that's the new right one?
that's the right for this week.
Okay.
Okay. So, and special effects is sponsored by Denver Wolf.
Where do you find this stuff?
Great shooter.
I want one of those.
I travel far and wide.
To find sound effects. Okay, Tony, who apologizes more to people, men or women?
I say me because I apologize all the time.
What are you?
I'm a woman.
Oh, thank you.
The
I'm
female
a woman,
species.
hear me roar. Okay, what do you think, Marv? Men or women apologize more?
These boots are made for walking.
Oh, he says no one then.
And that's
Women.
just what
What
they'll
they'll
do.
Okay.
I'm going to say women do. Yeah. for
Women do?
sure.
Yeah? Well, Denver, sorry.
What?
It is.
I've been apologizing for nothing.
Yeah, women, Tony and Marv are right. It is women that apologize more. So if you think you're women saying, I'm sorry more than men, you're right. Women apologize more often than men do. But it's not that men are reluctant to admit wrongdoing. The study shows it's just that they have a higher threshold for what they think warrants an apology. Yeah, that's right. All right, here's number 2. Who apologizes?
That's another show right there.
I got to whine now, I tell you.
Now you got two.
Who apologizes more to their pets?
Oh.
Men or women? What do you think, Marv?
Women.
Women? What do you think, Tony?
Women.
What do you think there, Denver?
I stand boldly with men.
Denver is correct.
Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You guys are incorrect. Men tend to apologize to their pets more often than women because they tend to see their pets as members of the family.
Don't touch that, Marv. Don't even touch that one.
Men tend to see their pets as members of the family more than women do.
You don't want me to touch it either, do you, Mark?
I know. You don't want to go there.
No. Do not. Oh, my goodness. We're just going to move right along to number 3. When arguing about money issues, who is usually the first person to apologize about making the fuss, men or women? Tony?
Ooh. That's a hard one. Oh, I'd say no. Well, men.
Kind of a trick question.
It is a trick question.
You say men?
Yeah.
Okay, Denver?
Sticking with the boys.
The boys, all right. Marv?
Yeah, I'm going to say men this time.
Okay. In licensed marriages, it is men. In common law marriages, it's women.
Why is there a difference?
We don't know why.
Well, James makes more, so I have to apologize. He makes a lot more.
And here's your last one. Do parents apologize more to their children, or do children apologize more to their parents?
Oh, shit. Oh. Whoa. Sorry, listeners. Sorry. That kind of just slipped out of right? I'm sorry. That has to be a mutual ground.
Go ahead. No. Answer this one.
Yeah, Tony.
I say because of how parents don't parent anymore, parents apologize to the kids. To where before...
Because they're more codependent,
yeah, my
so they're always
dad would
backing
whip
down.
my booty with a belt, and he wouldn't be apologizing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, what do you think, Marv?
Oh. I might have to abstain.
Okay.
Based on where I come from.
Okay.
So.
Denver? Parents or children?
You know, the thing is, parents probably do, but I know children play parents. So
Exactly.
I'm going to go with children on this one because they want their way.
Mm-hmm.
Denver's correct.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Yeah, it is children. Children apologize more, but parents should take the high road when they are wrong and apologize to their children when they blow it. It's a huge teaching tool and extremely effective in raising children to be kind and considerate. But children tend to apologize more.
Do they mean that sorry, though?
I don't know.
That's the big question.
Kylie owes me an apology. She hasn't called her mom in 2 weeks.
I think they do. I think, young children, it's more because of consequences.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
But to the degree they understand an apology.
Either that or stark raving fear.
Your stark raving fear.
Coming from the past, huh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I wonder if I have... No, that's it. And right after we get the closing bumper music for trivia, Tony's got something for us. That does it for Take 12 Trivia for this week. Okay, so last week I told you that if you comment on the shows, we wanted to recognize you. Tony?
Well, this week's shout-outs go to, these are initials, IW, and then James, then Donald, Jill, Jeff.
Jeff and Jill.
Brian, Marco, Bob, Guy, Wade, John, and Brandon. And that's with the O-N, Brandon.
Brandon. Yes.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you
Thank
guys.
you.
So these are folks that have commented either on Podomatic, on our YouTube channel, by email, by Facebook, whatever. They've commented on the show. And so we'd like to recognize you. If you do that, please comment on Podomatic particularly. I'm trying to get people to comment on Podomatic.
Go to Podomatic.
Pulling teeth.
Podomatic. Podomatic.
Hey, Monty,
Yes, sir.
I want to do a shout out to Denver.
Aw.
He makes lots of comments. So.
You bet I do. Who would have thunk it, huh?
You took over my job. Thanks, Denver. Made my life a little easier now.
Well,
There you
we'll
go.
share that.
Okay.
Gig.
Okay, so I'm looking in on page 76 of the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, going into our topic this week. The 9 step promises, step 8 and 9 revealed. The 9 step promises, fact or fiction. If you go down to 1, 2, 3, the third paragraph, right after it says we have then completed step 7, it says now we need more action, without which we find that faith without works is dead. And by the way, for those of you who don't like the Bible being quoted in AA meetings, sorry, it's in the Big Book in several places. Here is out of the book of James. Then it says, let's look at steps 8 and 9. We have a list of all persons we have harmed and to whom we are willing to make amends. We made what? The list, when we took inventory. So those of you who practice burning your 4-step inventory after you're done with your 5th step, don't do that. You need to refer to it in steps 8 and 9. I used to do that. We have a little ceremony. We'd light up the barbecue grill, and then we'd throw the inventory on the barbecue, and, you know.
I've only done that once.
And we'd watch the ashes rise in the air, and there goes our resentments and all that stuff. And then we got to this step, like, oops.
Come back.
I forgot.
Come back.
We subjected ourselves to a drastic self-appraisal. Now we go out to our fellows and repair the damage done in the past. We attempt to sweep away the debris which is accumulated out of our effort to live on self-will and run the show ourselves. If we haven't the will to do this, we ask until it comes. So sometimes when people remember, we lose people at 2 steps more than any other steps. Step 4, because now we're looking at ourselves, and a lot of people find it very difficult, and they're putting pen to paper, and now there's work involved, and so sometimes we lose people at step 4. And then if we don't lose them at step 4, sometimes we'll lose them at step 9, because now they're making face-to-face contact with people, and that can be scary, right? So he recognizes that could be an issue. You're good until you get here, and then you're like, ugh. Now I got to go make amends, and I don't know if I'm ready to do that. Well, then it says, if you're not willing yet, ask for the willingness to be willing. But he gets it. It's not an easy step. Remember, it was agreed at the beginning we would go to any length for recovery over alcohol. And so if you continue with this, and we're not going to take the time today to do this, but there are 3 primary areas where it gives kind of an outline on how to make amends in 3 different areas. One of them is to your creditors, making amends to your creditors, people you owe money to. One of them is criminal offenses, how to deal with a criminal offense that you've committed and making amends to society through that. And the other one is to your spouse. Here it says the wife. But it could be your husband. It could be, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your best friend. It could be a personal friendship or relationship. So it's outlined in 3 areas. And then as we move through step 9, we come to a place that has been kind of an icon in many meetings. Sometimes it hangs on the wall. Sometimes it says the promises. I wish it would say the 9th step promises, because people get confused. They think that the promises are something that come true when you walk through the door. And so to answer the question, why do these promises not come true to so many people that attend meetings, is because so many people just attend meetings.
Yeah.
And what the 9th step promise starts out with, this is the statement it makes. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, what phase? The 9th step. The amends phase. So these are the things that can come true as a result of the 9th step, as a result of making an amends. If they're not coming true, you may want to ask yourself, have I been making my amends? And if I haven't, there may be a good reason why some of these aren't happening. So how many promises are in the 9th step? Now, I posted on Facebook a little contest. We'd give away a prize if somebody got it right. and we put it in a drawing. But the people that guessed all got it wrong, so I didn't get put in the drawing. All right. Surprisingly enough, there are 20 promises in the 9-step promises. And I'm going to read them off one by one. Number 1, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. That's promise number 1. But it's conditional upon the statement previous. If, that means it's conditional. We are painstaking about this phase of our development. We will be amazed before we are halfway through. Amazed at what? At how this whole amends process is working. I was amazed that some people, most people, received my amends well.
Yeah.
I was also amazed at a couple of them that didn't, that I thought would.
Right.
And they weren't too happy. It was like, thank you very much. Now don't ever come back to my store again. And they had every right to do that. So as we go through this, you guys interrupt at any point and share your experience. So let me ask you, Tony, were you amazed at the way people responded to you?
Well, I was amazed, actually, by most of them, but I was also confused because it says the promises at the 8th and 9th step. And I'm like, well, I made amends, or I lost people before that, and they just didn't want to make the amends, so I had to, write it out on pen and paper and then just deal with it that way. Or there's one...
Because they didn't want to receive the amends?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or there's a company I couldn't, which I really screwed over.
Right.
But so I had to do it other ways, but it confused me for a long time because I'm like, but this says this, but not all of it happened. I'd say 90% of the amends I made went very well.
Went very well?
Yeah, but there's always going to be those few you're like, wait a minute.
Deborah, have your amendments that you've made, have they gone pretty good for you?
They have went very well for me. One word of caution is don't get froggy about making your amends.
Don't get froggy?
Yeah, don't jump in there and I will use financial as one. I'm going to pay you back that money, and then you find out later that amends was not, you're not ready to make that amends.
Yeah.
I have made that mistake before. Don't make your amends before it's time.
And a lot of people want to because there's the light is starting to come on and they get a little clear-headed and they get to step 3 and they go, oh, I got to go apologize. I got to go make amends. It's not time yet. It's not time yet.
You get excited
You'll
about
know when
this.
it is.
Right.
Yeah, you get excited about it and you want to make this, but if it's not time, then all you're doing is more damage.
Marv, how about you?
Yeah.
Done pretty well when you were making amends? People received it okay?
Yeah, for the most part.
Yeah.
But now I'm thinking of a little twist.
Sure.
In this thing. So, have I got time to tell this little... Okay, so I'm at work.
Yeah.
And in our shop, they have a parts room or a storage. And there's a guy that runs that. And I work graveyard. And for some reason or another, this guy who I believe was an alcoholic, by the way, he had a resentment against me. And he would go to my boss in the morning when he come in, and he would claim that I did all this stuff in his stockroom. And it could be I stole something or I didn't write something down when I checked out parts. But anyway, he continued. I mean, it got to be ridiculous.
So he was targeting you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I didn't know why. And I was trying to figure out what I did. And I'd been in the program a short time when this happened, by the way.
Yeah.
So I got to thinking about what am I going to do about this situation. And so the guy was a very avid coffee drinker. So what I started doing is I figured out when he was going to show up.
Yeah.
And I'd meet him with a cup of coffee. Hey, morning, how's it going? And just being this completely something I'm not.
Right.
This Mr.
Coffee deliverer.
Touchy-feely, fuzzy type guy. Within 2 days, that guy changed. It was amazing to me to see this.
Wow.
And pretty soon, within 2 weeks, he was coming out in the shop and he'd hand me a tool. He said, "Hey, Marv, we just got these in. What, you need one in your toolbox?"
Wow.
That's the change that happened. So along with, like I say, there's kind of a twist there. But,
Yeah.
But there's a couple of things that come to mind. Where are we really when it comes to thinking we have rights?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
This guy, I thought he didn't have a right to do that to me. I could see no reason for it.
Right.
And then the other part's the forgiveness.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow, that's great. I thought you were going to say you were putting X-Lax in his coffee and giving it.
Yeah, I could
See where my mind went?
That's where
Amends.
That's great.
Amazing before we're halfway through. There you go.
There you go. Yeah. Promise number 2, we are going to know a new freedom. We're going to know a new freedom. And we'll talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But there is freedom from a bondage that's been holding on to us when we make an amends to somebody. There really is. Even if they don't receive it.
kind of like what the third step prayer says.
Yeah, relieve me from the bondage of self so I can do thy will. Yeah, you bet. Promise number 3, and a new happiness. So not just freedom, we're going to do a new happiness, right? Promise number 4, we will not regret the past.
I like that one.
You like that one?
I do.
Yeah.
I don't know if I go along with that.
You know,
I was about to say that's still a tall order for me too.
So that may be fiction for you, not fact. Not regretting the past.
Somewhat.
Somewhat.
Yeah.
Sure. Sure. That's kind of an odd one.
Yeah.
You know, because do I regret the past? Well, I regret some of my behaviors.
Yeah, but
do I? Because they kind of help to make the man I am today. Yeah. Would I do things differently? You know, part of me would say yes. Part of me says maybe not. I don't know. That's kind of a weird one sometimes.
Don't you think that could be, you know, kind of a racial thing where you're at, your acceptance of that is in a direct result of your acceptance of how much you've been forgiven.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah. So that's number 4. Number 5, nor wish to shut the door on it. So we don't regret the past. That's one promise. Or wish to shut the door on it. We don't shut the door. Now, I know within the Christian circles, a lot of times we're taught, you know, leave it alone. What's gone is gone. Yesterday's gone. Tomorrow's not here. Living today. I don't think it's contradicting that. What I'm saying is, though, those things can become useful to us.
And where you don't want to go back to.
Right. We don't want to go back to it, but we can use that. We don't shut the door. We remember where we came from. It can be useful. Denver?
in the recovery walk, that's most important to me.
Yeah.
Right.
Is I don't regret the past in the fact that I am able to share that now with others and go, you know what, there is hope here, and I did this, and today I'm not doing it.
Right.
You know, there is hope. So it's very important to me. I love that 4 and 5.
Number 6, we will comprehend the word serenity. Doesn't mean we're always serene, but now we...
I understand what it means, but it doesn't mean I'm serene all the time.
And, you know, here's the thing. I've learned the difference between happiness and serenity. Happiness is based on your happenings. So if your happenings are pleasant and they things are going the way you want them to, then we're happy. But can you have serenity 24/7 even if things aren't going your way? I think you can. It doesn't mean you're happy.
Oh, okay.
But can you lay your head down on your pillow at night and say, it's been a good day. I'm sober. Yeah. Can I have serenity? And I think serenity is, and we make fun of Serenity J, so everybody goes, how can you have serenity 24/7? But he understands that. He's not saying he's happy about everything, but he has a serenity about it.
The term keep it simple really plays big on that for me.
Very much.
That helps you stay.
Yes, I find peace.
Right.
When I keep it simple, I find peace.
And then it's number 7, and we will know peace. So we comprehend the word serenity, number 6, and number 7, and we know peace. Number And then it says, no matter how far down the scale we have gone, number 8, we will see how our experience can benefit others.
Boom.
That's a promise.
Oh, yeah.
If you've made amends, if you're in the amends making process, you will start to see how your experience can benefit other people. Mm-hmm. It will happen. And it's in this promise number 8 where we actually develop a sense of the 12th step of helping others. Promise number 9, that feeling of uselessness, that's number 9, and 10, and self-pity will disappear. So the feeling of uselessness will disappear, number 9, and the feeling of self-pity will disappear, number 10. Mm-hmm. Number 11, we will lose interest in selfish things. Have you lost interest in selfish things? I haven't lost complete interest in selfish things.
I'm looking around at everybody. Nobody's commenting.
I know, right?
You're like,
I love my...
Most things, yes. But there's those little things where it's like, no, I want to hold on to that.
I love my...
So therein lies the fact that this is an ongoing thing, right?
Kind of like what we were saying at Life Group last night about how you'd like, oh, you want to give it to God, but no.
But you want to hold on a little bit.
That little bit.
But we do. We start losing. It becomes more about other people and helping other people.
And gets easier.
And self-pity starts to disappear too. We're not. You watch people that are actually experience the state of recovered. They're not boo-hooing about every little thing. They may be boo-hooing about some things, but there's a difference. Remember, we've heard it before. Wow, there's a light came on in your eyes. You got a different look on your face. You don't have a weekly whine anymore.
I was the crier of my home group when I first got in there. Good Lord.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Number 11, we will lose interest. Okay, I'm sorry. We did that. Number 12, and gain interest in our fellows. So we begin to gain interest in other people. Mm-hmm. Other people become important to us. Hopefully not in a codependent way, but in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Number 13, self-seeking will slip away. So always looking to cover my blessed assurance is going to start slipping away. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to worry about that nearly as much. Promise number 14, our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Mine has.
Amen.
Yeah.
What, Marv?
Partially.
Well, sometimes it changes. It can get weirder.
Right.
It doesn't say how it'll change. So suddenly I'm clear-minded now. So now I've become more opinionated because I'm sober.
That's my problem.
Yeah. Really?
Oh God.
But you play the blame game and you blame it on your Italianism.
No, well, yeah. I got to learn what honesty as opposed to like whatever the promises of one says. Yeah, I got to learn the difference between those.
I know. But yeah, you're right. You are Italian, so mamma mia anyway, right?
Mamma, por favor. Wait, that's
That's
Spanish.
the other.
Another thing
That's
too
the other one.
that I've noticed, and maybe I'm just weird, and I'm not sure how to make this clear.
Right.
But have you guys ever experienced you be in doing stuff? It doesn't matter what it is. You're just busy, and you're kind of going along and humming and everything, and then a situation comes up, and it's stymie. You just kind of stop. Well, wait a minute, and what's happened with me is that happens, and I get confused momentarily. Well, the reason I do is because of this little thing about change. My mind's starting to think in the old pattern, but then that change is there too. And at the same time, that hits me. Wait a minute, we're not going to do it that way anymore.
Yeah.
You kind of see what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
And it just catches you off guard, kind of. It does me anyway.
That kind of reminds me of what the Apostle Paul says about the very thing I want to do, I don't do. The very thing I don't want to do, I do.
Yeah.
There's that battle going on where there once was no battle. I just did what I shouldn't do. There was no problem. But yeah, that's change. That's huge. It can be foreign to us sometimes, even though we've changed a lot. A new change happens, and we're like, "What?"
Even if it's a good change, sometimes it's scary.
Yeah, you're not alone on that.
Yeah,
one. Most
no.
certainly, though. That is a cool feeling when that awakening comes, and you go, "Wait a minute,
Yeah.
wait a minute."
Yeah.
Number 15, fear of people, and number 16, an economic insecurity will leave us. So, fear of people will leave us.
Tony, you have something to say?
No, I'll let Monty finish.
Okay, so fear of people will leave us, and number 16, fear of economic insecurity will leave us. So, what would you want to say about fear of people?
Well, I'm kind of going through the economic one right now, like
Okay.
within this last year.
Amen.
Yeah.
So
But then, like, James is so nice, I'm scared of him. I'm not used to that. And
It's interesting you say that because I understand that because Amber, who my son Cameron married Amber several years back, her family was so dysfunctional and so mean that when we showed them a Christian home and love and compassion
It's
and showed it to
foreign.
her, it scared her. She didn't know how to take that.
And I was going to say that in life group last night, but I was like, no, that sounds kind of weird. But I've been treated so badly, like his calmness, his demeanor, his just the way
It's
he
kind of
treats me.
foreign to you, so
It's
you're
scary.
You're kind of suspicious of it, right?
Yeah.
But
It's getting better.
It gets better,
Yeah. But at first, it's like, something's wrong with you.
right?
But there's not. It's
Yeah.
me.
But that fear of people is starting to change for you.
Yeah.
And the economic insecurity. Well, okay, so here's one that's great. I love this. I don't understand why I'm in such a financial mess. Well, and why the promise of the fear of economic insecurity hasn't left me. Well, have you paid back your creditors?
Yeah.
Have you made an attempt anyway to make amends to the people you ripped off financially? Because if you haven't, I'd be scared too. You're still getting calls and knocks on the door and notices in the mail. But when you've taken care of that business, you don't have anything to be afraid of anymore.
Exactly.
And what a beautiful thing. Because I remember the calls from the liquor store. Your check bounced again.
They actually called you. Huh?
Yeah, they'd call and call and call, and then I'd get it. And there was A Street Avenue Liquors, which is right down the street from my home. So the guy would show up at my door. So I had to move.
Goodness, I love it.
I had to move. I didn't pay my bill. I think
had
it
to
was.
move.
I think it was only a $25 bill, but I didn't pay it. I just moved.
Yeah, but when you're
That's
drinking,
the logical
$25 is a
thinking.
lot of money.
Yeah, that's true.
The logical thinking of an addict. I owe 25, so I'm
Let's
going to
move.
move.
I'm going to move. My tires are bald on my car, so I'm going to buy a new car. Promise number 17. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us.
Yeah.
A clear head makes for better decision making.
It does.
It does.
And so if I've practiced some of this amends stuff, if I've made some amends, what I'm learning in that process is the things that used to scare me and baffle me about approaching other people, especially people I was in conflict with, some automatic things start to happen without me even realizing it. I'm not as shy about it. I can stand up for myself. I can stand on my own 2 feet, and I can say to the person, I've offended you. I'm asking you to forgive me, or whatever.
The fear of that situation.
Yeah. Promise number 18, we will suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Have you seen that happen?
There's
Yes.
the light bulb.
That's a biggie for me.
Yeah.
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 In a lot of different ways.
Then it asks a question. It says, are these extravagant promises?
Yeah.
And then yeah, they are. And let me tell you, you're right. If you haven't done this process, the very first part of this promise says, if we are painstaking about the phase of our development, the 9th step, if we haven't been making these amends, these are extravagant promises because they're probably not going to happen.
And when you first come in, these are overwhelming.
Yeah,
You don't
yes.
understand any of these. So
if you just look at this as boom,
Right.
it is overwhelming. It's extravagant.
And that's now personally, it's my personal opinion. That's why I am not in favor of reading the promises in a meeting as far as opening or closing a meeting, because these aren't the promises. These are the 9-step promises. Now, if you want to take a promise from each step, that's one thing. Do some of these come true if you don't make amends? In certain areas, yeah. But as far as the 9th step goes, these are probably not going to happen if you haven't painstakingly been involved in this phase of your development.
Yeah.
That's what it says. So are they extravagant? Not if you've done this. Most of these will happen. And then the group will usually say, we think not. Well, why do we think not? Well, I remember a meeting in the Midwest where only the people that had done the 9th step were allowed to say, we think not, when they read the promises at the end of the meeting, because they were the only ones who had experienced it. So they had the experience. So they had I guess the qualification to say we think not, because they had experienced it. And then people would look at them and say, oh, how did you do it? And they would get guidance from them. I thought that was pretty cool. Promise number 19. They are being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly.
Slowly.
Why sometimes quickly? Why sometimes slowly? What do you think?
Because it's like everything else God does. It's a process.
Yeah.
We have to go through.
And sometimes it's his timing. Sometimes it's, well, I'm not really there yet with this guy, but I am with this person or whatever. It just depends. It's a process for everybody. This can be an area that can happen very quickly for some people, the amends process, depending on how many people you owe amends to, or it can move very slowly.
Well, that's like that guy in the stock room I was talking
Right.
about. Within a day or two, he completely changed.
Right.
And of course, that's him changing, but also look at the effect it had on me, and that was really quickly. So
yeah, you bet. And then promise number 20. They will always materialize if, there's that condition again, if we work for them.
Work.
Work. Yeah.
Because if you don't do the work, you're not going to get anything out of any of this.
So what is that quote? God will not render us as white as snow without our cooperation. Why aren't I white as snow? Well, have you done what I've instructed you to do? Well, yeah, no, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll ever be white as snow, but getting there slowly.
Well, in his eyes, you are.
Bleached out.
So there's the answer to your question. How many promises are there in the 9th set of promises? 20.
Who got closest? What was the number?
Somebody said 14. Somebody said 12. Somebody answered it by not answering it. I don't remember what they...
A lawyer, no doubt.
We don't give out numbers.
But what I think is so much fun about doing something like this requires studying it. It requires digging into it. And when we do that with a piece of literature that has had so much effect on people's lives over the years, it's fun. Yeah. It's like, wow, I never looked at it that way. That's really cool. And so, listen, if you haven't experienced some of these things in the 9th step, it may be because you haven't been working on your 9th step. Other reasons may be because it's sometimes slowly. And some of these things will materialize in God's timing. Right, Marv?
yes.
Yeah. So just because you've done everything right and you really believe you have, and your sponsor or spiritual advisor has said, you know what, you've done it. And every single one of these hasn't materialized. Boom. Don't give up. Because sometimes the slow materializing of them is because of God's timing, and he knows the situation better than we do.
Yeah.
Move on to step 10. Keep doing the deal. And next week, we're going to talk about step 10 revealed, and what that's all about. Any closing comments, you guys?
Well, this last promise here, they will always materialize if we work for them, brings us back to what was originally said at the beginning of the program in a way, because faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so we have to work for them.
Yep. We do.
Amen.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
Amen.
And the other thing I'd like to say, too, just a note of encouragement maybe, because I go through this myself,
Right.
is when you do get discouraged and when you do get depressed and when you do go into self-pity and get into selfish things, do not be discouraged because we are human.
Yep.
We're going to do these things. And what I have to do myself is I have to keep going back and saying, okay, Lord, I know the things that I'm feeling are not true because your word says this.
Right.
And
Nice.
and I know I have gotten discouraged over these promises because it seemed like nothing was happening.
Right.
But then I have to realize that we're just human.
Yeah.
We're not perfect, and we can't possibly ever be. So,
And I think the key word there is seemed like,
yeah,
or appeared to be. That could be deceiving.
or feels like.
Or feels like.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes you just have to look at what the truth is versus what you're feeling, and hold on. My sponsor used to say, sometimes you just got to hold on to the couch, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Just
I know
hold
it's only
on.
temporary.
Yeah.
I cannot remember where in my travels I heard this, but I know somebody said it, that when she gets to feeling down, and it was a female, when she gets to feeling down, she makes a sandwich and goes and gives it to a homeless person. It gets her out of self.
Gets you out of self?
And then gets her back into service work.
I did that.
That was you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah,
me
well-
too. Well, it got misconstrued a little bit, but it's just something
You threw a sandwich out a window at him? At McDonald's? Is that what?
I've done that once. No, it was the Thanksgiving before Walter
Right.
and I divorced, and I didn't have a Thanksgiving or Christmas that year, so both times I actually just made.
Well, that's
sack
wonderful.
lunches.
Yeah, you made
I
food. You
remember
gave
that.
it to
Yeah.
homeless
That's
people.
stuck in my head. So that was wonderful.
Aww.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me cry on air. Don't do that
Again?
Yes.
Excellent.
I can't believe I've never. Okay, see, so I've never had anybody actually come up to me and say, "You said this," and it impacted me. That
Well,
was
I
sweet.
couldn't remember, but
That made my
thank
day.
you. Yeah.
Let me. You impact people every week we do the show, Tony.
I think it's just my laughter.
You and the baby.
I love the baby.
All right, our closing song is by Mark Elder from his CD Just for Today, and appropriately titled. It's titled "I'm Sorry," meant nothing anymore.
He'd been sober now for some time, but some things hadn't changed. His wife still showed so little trust, and there was so much blame. He searched for some solution to try to make things right, some way to heal her wounded heart and keep their love alive. They were standing at a crossroads, and he had a choice to make. Now it was time to show her he'd do what it would take. She heard all his apologies 1,000 times before. I'm sorry meant nothing anymore. One evening after dinner was done, the kids went out to play. She could see he wanted to talk and was searching for what to say. He struggled hard to find the words to try to make amends, till he saw the sadness in her eyes when she looked up and said, "We're standing at a crossroads, and you've got a choice to make. Now it's time to show me that you mean what you say. I've heard all these apologies 1,000 times before. I'm sorry means nothing anymore. A year or so has come and gone. They've had their ups and downs. Still she sees a change in him. He laughs more than he frowns. Sometimes the actions that we take make the best amends. And not a single day goes by he doesn't think back when they were standing at a crossroads and he had a choice to make. Now it was time to show her he'd do what it would take. She'd heard all his apologies 1,000 times before. I'm sorry meant nothing anymore. I'm sorry meant nothing anymore.
That's from Mark Elder's CD, Just for Today. Remember, my friends, making an amends means to change our behavior. It isn't an apology. It's not saying you're sorry. We're done being sorry people. We're changing. We're making an amendment to our old way of life into the new way of life. Until our next broadcast, this is the Monty Man along with the Take 12 Recovery Radio family, and we're wishing God's perfect serenity for you. Bye-bye now.
This has been a broadcast of KHLT Recovery Broadcasting.
'Cause she's a super cat, she's super kitty, meow.
Here, kitty, 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 kitty. Meow.